Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the continuing lecture of the topic on what is the basics of business, and also to the course artificial intelligence or applied AI in the area of industrial and management engineering. So, I am Dr. Deepa Philip from IIT Kanpur, and let us continue. And we were discussing on what is productivity and what is transformation process. Now, let us talk about the topic called business. Okay. And we are going to again talk about it in a fundamental term. So, let us talk about what is business. Okay. So, let us think about it as an organization, okay, that produces or sells goods and or services to satisfy the customer or consumer demand. We use the word demand. It can also be a need or it can be a want, okay, in order to make profit. This is a simple working definition that we will use in this course. So, a business means we are talking about an organization, any organization that produces or sell goods and service or services. So, an organization can produce goods and it can also sell services. Okay. So, produce and sells goods or services. For why they do that? To satisfy the customer or consumer's demand. Okay. We use the word demand here, but it is actually a need or a want of a customer. And why do they do that? They want to make profit for this. Okay. So, that is the logic here. So, the business has two purposes. Okay. Number one, the most important purpose, make money. Okay. It is also known as, such things are called as for-profit organizations. Okay. The organizations that make money, okay, or they make profit, is called for-profit organizations. Number two, provide goods and or services that will satisfy consumer. I am not using the word customer, consumer demands or wants or needs. Okay. The consumer can also be replaced with customer as well. Okay. Customer is a more nicer term, consumer is more of a term that it just consumes. Okay. So, you consume rice. Okay. You are not called as a customer of rice, but you are a customer of a Toyota car, something like that. Right. That is slight difference in this, but we can use the term interchangeably in this course. So, the first one is the business as purpose. First purpose is to make money, and second purpose is to provide goods or services that will satisfy the demand, wants and needs of the customer or the consumer. Now, let us explain the key terms here. Okay. The three new terms that you come across. So, the profit is the first term. Profit. What is a profit? It is the income left, okay, or the remaining left after all costs and expenses are paid. Okay. So, the income left after, it is left, or in other ways income remaining is another way to think about it. The remaining income or the leftover income after all the costs and expenses are paid. Obviously, then we need to learn what is expenses. Okay. So, the expenses are, they are the payments involved in running a business, the payments involved in running a business and the assets that get used up operating it. So, when you are running a business or when you are running a process, when you are running a business, then there are payments that are involved in, okay, and so like salaries, wages, etc., and the assets that gets used up operating in it. So, sometimes you may want, you have coolant, tool bit, etc. So, you are paying money to procure them. So, that will be considered as an expense. Then the third one is the word that we learned now is costs. Okay. What are costs? Money required to produce or provide the goods and services. Okay. The money required to produce or provide the goods and services is the about of cost, what we talk about. So, the profit is the remaining of after all costs and expenses are being paid out of it. Okay. Now, with this we also said that, okay, there are other measures, typical measures, that we said when you increase productivity, it will actually improve the revenue. If it improves the revenue, the chance of it improving the profit is also pretty good, and we know what a profit is now. So, the typical measures that will actually improve the, there are, in my word, there are 5 things. Okay. One is efficiency, second one is effectiveness, third one is quality, fourth one is quality of work life, then the fifth one is innovation. We will go through each one of these 5 and try to figure out what they are. Okay. So, let us talk about efficiency to begin with. Okay. The first term is efficiency. Okay. What efficiency does? It measures the resources expected to be consumed to the resources actually consumed. Okay. So, how much resources that you expect to consume to the resources that you actually consume. Okay. Hence, it focuses on the input side of the system. Okay. So, the logic here is measure to what degree did the system utilize the right thing. Okay. Measure to what degree did the system utilize the right thing. So, if you remember, you have inputs and you have the transformation process and you have the outputs and we had the feedback, productivity, and we called this as the system. So, the efficiency is here. Okay. So, you are saying that if you are supposed to use, okay, expected to be consumed, if you are supposed to use 1 kilogram of rice, okay, and you actually ended up using only, let us say if you ended up using 1.2 kilograms, then you are only about 80% efficient kind of a thing. Okay. So, because you consumed 200 grams more than what was expected. All right. Okay. If you only consumed 1 kilogram as expected, then it is you are 100% efficient. Okay. So, you consume more, then you actually become more inefficient actually. Okay. Next comes the effectiveness, the second term. Okay. So, what is effectiveness? It is also another measure. It measures what the system sets out to accomplish. What the system set out to accomplish, or this is the objective, with what was actually accomplished. Okay. This is in another way to think about is the plan versus actual. That is the effectiveness. Okay. The plan versus actual. So, we let us say for example, the objective, okay, it was to make a car, okay, and we actually accomplished was, okay, make a bullock cart, okay, or not make, I would say made a bullock cart. So, yes, you created a mobility device, but you did not make the car. So, you are not very effective. Okay. The plan was to make a car, but actually you ended up making a bullock cart. So, that is what you call as the effectiveness. So, hence effectiveness is an output measure. Okay. So, the question is the output right? Okay. That means right quality, right quantity, right on time, etc. So, did we make the right? Did we make it right? Okay. Is the output right? Did you make the right quantity? Did you make the right quality? Did you make it right on time? These are the key aspects. So, if you think about it, you have your inputs, you have your, I am just drawing it as a system, and you have your outputs, which are goods or services or waste. So, the effectiveness focuses here. This is the focus of effectiveness, is on the output side of the things. Okay. Now, let us talk about the third one, quality. Okay. So, quality is the again another measure. It is a measure of the degree to which the outputs, okay, from the system, the outputs from the system confirm, okay, it is not confirm, conform, okay, to the requirements, conform to the requirements or meet customer expectations. Okay. So, it is a measure of the degree to which the outputs can be goods or services. So, I am going to introduce another term for goods. Okay. It can also be known as products. Okay. A colloquial term is products. It can be goods or products or services. Okay. the outputs from the system, to what degree which the outputs from the system confirm or agree to the requirements or the expectations of the customer or the consumer. Okay. So, the focus is on quality attributes. Okay. So, what are some of the quality attributes? Okay. That is, one is conformance. Okay. Second one is performance. Okay. A third one is convenience. The fourth one is responsiveness. Then the fifth one is perceived quality or perception, etc. So, there are other things also, but these are the 5 most important things. So, if you take the example of a car, of a sedan, okay, let us take it as a car for the time being. So, conformance would be something like automobile with 4 doors, 5 wheels, that is including the stepney, etc., engine, seats. So, whatever the customer expects, okay, out of that sedan, we conform to that expectation. Now comes the performance aspect of it. Okay. So, the performance would be, okay, I am just going to use it as an example. Performance would be like 25 kilometer per liter of petrol, then it is also like 10,000 kilometer service interval, etc. Okay. These are what you call as some of the aspects of what you call as performance. Okay. Then comes convenience. Okay. Convenience is more like dual climate control, then auto locking, moon roof, etc. These are what we call as the convenience of the vehicle. Then responsiveness, okay, it is more like 0 to 100 in 10 seconds, okay, 180 meter braking distance from 100 kmph, etc., will be something like this. Okay. And then the perceived quality is like door closes with a thud. This is a perceived quality. Okay. So, when you close the door, you hear this dum sound, kind of a thing. Then paint looks smooth, etc. These are what we call as perceived quality of the product in this regard. Okay. So, these are focusing on the attributes of the quality. Okay. Quality always have attributes, but it is the measure of how much the output, whether the product or a service, conform to the requirements. Okay. So, that is the third aspect. Now, let us talk about the fourth aspect. It is called quality of work life, QWL is what we talk about. Okay. It measures the way that employees in a system respond to the socio-technical aspects of the system. Okay. So, the employees. So, in the system you have inputs, as I mentioned earlier, then you have transformation process, you have outputs, and in this we said there is man, materials, etc., like this. So, this is where the focus is. QWL focuses on the man or the human aspect of it. the employees in the system, the employees of a system, how do they respond to the socio-technical aspects of it, change in new product, how quickly can you bring in something new, how quickly you can change the process, how can be a new process be adopted, all these kind of aspects of this system. Okay. How good the people respond to the socio-technical aspect of it is what the quality of work life aspect measures as part of it. Then comes the last aspect, which is reasonably recent, but innovation. It has been there, but it is a critical thing. What it does is it measures the applied creativity. Applied creativity of the system. Okay. It measures the applied creativity of the system. The key word is creativity. Okay. So, in another way I always say is the mathematically innovation for me is creativity plus commercialization. So, in this course the applied creativity, that means the creativity that can be commercialized. Okay. So, that aspect is critical as part of this. Okay. So, where does it relates to? It relates to the design and development of A, improved products, B, enhanced services, C, re-engineered or optimized processes, etc. So, that is the aspect of innovation. Okay. The applied creativity. If you go to Japanese organizations, you will see something called, some aspect of it is, they call it as a term called Kaizen, okay, which means continuous improvement. It is also another way of looking at applied creativity as part of it. So, the logic of innovation and invention, lot of the people, okay, understand that. So, there is three aspects. So, if you think about the light bulb, okay, light bulb is an invention. Okay. Thomas Alva Edison did it. So, it is very hard to invent. Okay. That is the first thing. Okay. It takes a lot of time and effort, lot of time and effort. Okay. It is easier to innovate. So, innovate means it is the delta. Okay. It is delta creativity plus delta commercialization. So, once somebody made the light bulb, you can change the color of the glass to something else and make it a red color light bulb. Obviously, yes, that is easy, right. The advantage is it actually creates you something called as private returns. Okay. It gives you more money, or it gives you better returns as part of this. Then the last part, then it is still out of this spillovers, it is even easier to adopt. Okay. So, if you innovate, take that innovation and then take it into the large scale. If you can adopt that innovation, then that gives you, instead of the private returns, an innovator usually gets his private returns. If you adopt it, then you actually get what you call as social returns. Okay. So, translation of the innovation to commercialization typically means adopting that innovation. Now, let us talk about something called sustainability. Okay. This was never measured, or this was never counted in the measures of the productivity aspect, but with the climate change and all those environmental impacts that we are seeing as part of productivity drive, sustainability is also a critical aspect now. We need to add this in addition to the innovation. So, let us talk about what is the sustainability. Okay. So, the commonly, or the common definition that people talk about is development that meets the needs and aspirations of the current generation, without compromising the ability to meet those of future generations. Okay. So, the ability to meet the needs and aspirations of the current generation without compromising the ability to meet those of the future generation. So, if I am able to drive a car today by a car which gives me 10 kilometers per liter of petrol, 3 generations down the road, they should also have the capability to drive the same or similar car at 10 kilometers per liter of fuel. So, that aspiration of the future generation, I cannot take it away in the current one. But for the IEA systems approach, okay, we can think about it as the development that enables individuals and communities in developing regions of the world to raise standards of living through profitable products or services consistent with minimizing adverse environmental effects. So, the logic here is that it is a development that enables individuals, you are enabling individuals and communities to develop the regions of the world. It could be your state, your country, your globe, whatever it is, as we discussed in the beginning, to raise standards of living. You are improving your standard of living either through profitable products or services, okay, but you are minimizing the adverse environmental effect. So, this is the new way we are looking at what we call as sustainability, which is, or this is also a new measure of productivity. And the major mantras, we also need to look into this very quickly and then we will stop here. The major mantras are the 3 R's. We are very famous. We all know that is reduce, okay, reduce, reuse, recycle. Okay. These are the established 3. Everybody knows about it. Reduce the usage, reuse as much as you can, and recycle if you can. Okay. So, these three drive what we call as eco-efficiency, which is being less bad, is the term I use. Okay. We bad, but we are being just less bad. Now, then 2 more R's are performed or R's are supposed. That is 4th one, which is refine the process, refine the product, etc., and the 5th one is recover. Okay. So, refine and recover became 2 more R's added to it. Okay. Then came 1 more R. Okay. That 1 more R is known as re-innovate. Not just innovate, re-innovate, keep on innovating again and again. So, these 3 R put together. These refine and recover is the new one to augment eco-efficiency. Okay. You are augmenting eco-efficiency. Typically, sometimes people call it as ensuring the circular economy. That's part of that. Re-innovate is like, it is the life cycle improvement. Any aspect of the life cycle, whether it is the design, development, prototyping, testing, etc., you can introduce, you can innovate and continue to innovate to achieve something like this. With this, we will stop this lecture here. We will break here, and we will continue with some examples in the coming lecture. And please continue to read as much as you can with the assigned reading materials and topics, and we will see you soon in the next lecture. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. Thank you.